Hi, my name is Josh. Me and my wife Stacy and our 4 kids just finished a family DTS here at Tyler. For our outreach, we went to Brazil. And one of the neat stories I wanted to share with you was we got to go to a remote village. And one of the cool things was it wasn't originally a village we were even planning to go to, but because of some unforeseen circumstances, we just ended up at this village that the YWAM-based leaders we were connected with had a relationship with. We have 2 younger kids between 4 and 2, and they had to stay with my wife at the house of the kind of leaders of the village. And originally my wife was a little bummed because she wanted to go with us visiting homes and just getting to meet people. But she got to stay, and the cool thing was she got to talk to the wife of one of the leaders and elders of the village. And the cool thing about that is she found out that about 5 days before we got there, the wife that she was talking to was told by her cousin that her husband was going to kill her. So she fled in the forest for about 4 days between the city we were staying at and the village. And she'd literally come back to her home the day before we got there. And she said when she was in the forest, she kind of felt darkness had come upon her. So my wife and one of the other moms got to minister to her and her 19-year-old daughter. And they just got to share with her about how much Jesus loves her. And my wife noticed that she had cataracts on her eyes. And so she just really wanted to encourage her that Jesus heals, and told the story of how Jesus heals blind eyes and Jesus healing the woman who bled for 12 years. And the cool thing about that was later that afternoon, my daughter and I were part of a service there. And my daughter had planned to share a testimony of how Jesus heals and how she saw healing happen at a street service. And the cool thing about that was after my daughter shared her testimony, she asked, would anybody who wants Jesus to heal them raise their hand right now? And the woman raised her hand, and several others, and so we spent a time of praying over them. And when we were done, we realized we had about 15 minutes before we had to leave. And so they told me, make it quick and powerful, what you were sharing. And so I just shared the gospel, and as I was sharing, when I asked if anybody wanted to give their life to Jesus, before it was even translated, this woman's husband stood up and was like, yeah! And so he gave his life to the Lord, she gave her life to the Lord, and her 19-year-old daughter gave her life to the Lord. And it was just really cool to see how myself, my eldest daughter, and my wife all played a role in bringing this family to the Lord. And because they were the leaders of the village, they asked the YWAM base there that we were working with if they would start a church in this village, because they'd now given their life to the Lord. And so it was really cool to see how our family played a role in starting a church in Brazil.